Get into it. Sold Not For Sale podcast. We got Joe Rogan, Tulsi Gabbard. Man, we live in unprecedented times. We haven't lived in a time where Trump names his Secretary of State and people are just pulling up videos and just looking at this guy to be like, who is this guy? Go on X, get a feel for him, hear people's opinions. And then he announces the Director of National Intelligence, and it's Tulsi Gabbard. And you actually have an opportunity now in this video to be proud of that position. Normally, they might announce that position. They might announce it. And it would be some dude and you'd be like, oh, who's that guy? I don't know. Whatever. Who cares? Not this time. You have an actual opportunity to be proud of the person who is getting into this role. I'm going to show you what that role entails and what she gets to oversee. But I'm just going to show you some clips right now, so you can get familiar with who is in that position. I'm telling you, I'm not going to sit back and say that the government is all great and all warm hugs and kisses, but there's definitely an opportunity right now for people who haven't been proud of their country to start feeling proud of their country. Let's get into the first clip. I'll show you some other ones.
Is going to save you.
No, exactly.
No one's going to save you.
That's it.
People in Maui know that. They know that now.
Yes.
And no one's going to save you.
Yes.
And we have to be aware of how crooked this system is.
Yes.
And I don't know how we're going to get out of it. I don't. But I'm very happy that people like you, or at least you have the courage to talk about it. And so few people do. And it's a strange time to be alive. It's wonderful in a lot of ways. It's amazing in a lot of ways, but it's like treacherous. There's a lot going on right now that's like, it really makes you wonder. There's so much subterfuge and shenanigans and so much money being funneled around and moved around. It's just like, whew.
I think that's where there is, there is a silver lining in what we have been through COVID and through everything that's happened since. Is I think more and more people are waking up and at a minimum just questioning what they're being told. Is this actually true? Looking for information and news from other sources than maybe they had been before.
Yeah.
And just what you said, no one's coming to save us. I think that is the message I'm carrying. I'm on the road constantly and I'm talking to people, whoever will listen at events and on different media platforms. It's what I focused on in my book, For Love of Country. The truth about what is happening in our country, the experiences that I had in the Democratic Party that caused me to leave the party, and understanding that in this situation, and there's a lot to be fixed across both parties and the government, but in my experience and in the situation we are in right now with the Biden-Harris administration, they cannot be allowed to remain in power. We can agree or disagree on different issues, and it's good, and we should have those conversations. But when you look at the unprecedented abuse of power that they are engaging in, undermining the rule of law, politicizing our government entities, targeting Americans who happen to be their political opposition, whether it's Donald Trump or the mom who's protesting at a Board of Education meeting to have a say in what kind of education her child is getting. This is happening across the country. And if we, the American people, don't do something about this and stop them and hold them accountable, what happens in these elections? If they're allowed to remain in power, they will tell us, hey, you gave us a mandate. You said, hey, good job, thumbs up, keep at it. And we'll see everything that's happened just continue to escalate to a point where I have no doubt that our freedoms will be eroded to a point where it'll be virtually impossible to get them back. And where do we go from there? America no longer becomes the land of the free and the home of the brave. It becomes the land of people who are controlled by the government and forced to comply or else. And if you dare to have the courage to speak up and speak the truth, or say, hey, look, guys, the emperor has no clothes on. Boys are boys and girls are girls, and that's just how it is, then you will experience the retaliation or the consequences of that action.
Man, let's go. Tulsi Gabbard. I'm telling you, man, it's I know it seems like, oh, why would you? I have no doubt she'll keep secrets. They all do. They're politicians. But it seems like at least we have one. And there's multiple, but I'll say with her that she has a strong constitution, strong moral compass that keeps her in check. Because she could have easily, let me just read this. I am pleased to announce former Congresswoman Lieutenant Colonel Tulsi Gabbard, will serve as the Director of National Intelligence, DNI. For over 2 decades, Tulsi has fought for our country and our freedoms, and the freedoms of all Americans. As a former candidate for the Democrat presidential nomination, she has broad support in both parties. Now she is a proud Republican. She's going to make us all proud. Listen, I just wanted to read that really quick just to show you what Trump actually said. And I'll go back to what I was saying. She could have easily, without a moral compass, stayed in the Democrat Party, pretty much ran it, been in like, a Nancy Pelosi, where AOC is. Like, AOC is eventually going to try and make those steps and be like Nancy Pelosi and be there until she's 406 years old. Tulsi could have easily done that. Easily. If she just played ball, presidential candidate, she could have ran again. She would have been given everything if she just played ball, but she wouldn't play ball. And I think that shows a lot, Let me move on to this next clip of Tulsi telling it like it is. She just has a lot of messages for the American people. And again, I just say, this is an opportunity. Maybe you don't like Tulsi. And I know there's some people that don't. I remember one person in the comments said, I know a shapeshifter when I see one. Okay, fine. But for those of you that are looking for something to be proud of in your country, this is a moment. This is definitely a moment. For this person who has this strong of a moral compass to be put in this position gives me some hope.
It is not, when people in the mainstream media talk about, the elections and election fraud and, outside forces coming in and trying to undermine and usurp our elections. They obviously never talk about themselves and how much propaganda they put out to create this facade of a democracy where essentially they work with the power elite in Washington from one party or another, and they basically decide, hey, here's the people that we're okay with voters being exposed to. These are the acceptable people, and here's the people who are unacceptable to the elite, and therefore we got to destroy them. And this is what I went through when I ran for president in 2020, the Democratic primary. From the very first day I announced through the entire campaign, it was already decided that I was not a candidate that they found acceptable. We are seeing and so they did everything they could to discredit and smear and, media
Hillary
blackouts
Clinton was
and all
saying
this.
You were a Russian asset.
Exactly. And no member of the media ever said, oh, really? What evidence do you have of that?
Right.
They just, they repeated the line over and over and over again, and it worked. People believed it.
Yeah.
And you're seeing the same thing happening now with RFK. They decided, hey, this guy is speaking way too much truth, and so we're going to do everything we possibly can to block voters from hearing him, and we are going to try to smear and discredit him with lies so that if they do hear him, they're not going to believe what he says.
Bro, what happens to Hillary Clinton? What happens to Hillary Clinton made up that whole story? What happens to Hillary? I don't know how. Trump gave her a pass. I don't know how many passes she has left. When it comes now, Tulsi's in this position. I don't know. This was the wrong thing to do. I mean, Hillary flexed her power on Tulsi Gabbard. What's going to happen to her now? Here's another message to the American people.
When I talk to people, and it happened recently with Alex Berenson, he was like, isn't she crazy? I'm like, what's crazy? How's she crazy? Tell me how she's crazy. And then no examples. I'm like, well, why are you saying that? Like, why does someone say? He's like, you're right. Like, I don't have an example. Yeah. I'm like, isn't that weird that you just like and he's a journalist. Mm-hmm. I mean, worked for the New York Times, and it just, isn't she crazy?
Yep. Accepting that. And that's how they do it.
Wild.
That's how they do it is like, hey, let's just plant a seed of doubt or suspicion so that most people, I mean, as a journalist, he's got no excuse, but most people don't have, honestly, they don't have the time. They hear one thing. They're like, shoot, like I got kids, I got work, we got soccer games, we got this, we got that. And you want me to do research? Like, wait, what?
Right. It's such a bizarre system that we have, and it's so easy to rig.
Yeah.
because there's only two parties, and both parties are controlled by these gigantic special interest groups.
Gigantic special interest groups, corporate for-profit media, big tech, and then the powers in both parties. And that's where I'm glad you used the word rigged, because it's an important word. And usually when you use it, people aren't thinking of it in the way that we're talking about. It's what I experienced during that campaign, is that collusion between those very, very powerful entities to decide, before voters even get a chance to be exposed to different candidates to choose from. They decide, all right, here's the people that we're going to, we think will be all right. We think they're going to play the game, and we'll promote them. We'll say nice things about them, maybe throw in a tough question here or there just to not blow our cover. But these are the people that we want voters to choose from. And these other people are the ones that we're going to try to either just slide into the darkness and hope nobody notices them. Or if people are noticing them, we're going to do everything that we can to smear them and undermine their credibility, so that when they do speak, you get that kind of reaction from Berenson.
It's a
Man, the fact that Trump, shout out, like a million shout outs to Donald Trump, man. Anybody who's talking smack about Donald Trump right now, the fact that he's putting these people in these positions, Matt Gaetz, who is asking questions about J6, he's going deep into, he's asking questions about why are people buying Hunter Biden's art and then getting appointments with the president. He's going so hard asking these questions that only conspiracy theorists ask. Then you have Tulsi, somebody who's actually been railroaded by the system. You're a Russian asset, throw you out of this, discard you like that. The fact that he's putting all these people who have kind of gone through the same treatment as him, the whole outcast type of treatment, the people who are outspoken, I can say this all except for Rubio. I don't know about Rubio. Like, I don't know. He doesn't seem that outspoken. He doesn't seem like the rest of them. I'll say that, but whatever. But for the fact that he's putting a lot of people into position like that, all of these outcasts, all the misfits, politically is so amazing to see. Let's hear Tulsi Gabbard actually talk about this position. Let's go.
An exciting time to be alive. Here now, newly nominated Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard. Well, first of all, congratulations, Tulsi. We're all very proud of you. Take us into the room or the airplane when this was offered to you. How did it go down?
We had a great conversation and talked a little bit about the work that needs to be done. And I was grateful and honored to accept President Trump's offer to serve our country and support his objective to defend the safety, security, and freedom of the American people as the Director of National Intelligence.
How do you think foreign capitals are taking your nomination and the nomination of other people in the national security apparatus?
It's a good question. I think President Trump has already shown how active he has been in not waiting around for day one on January 20th or 21st, but he's already leading. He's already engaging with so many of these world leaders around the world on the phone constantly, and he's showing the kind of leadership that the American people voted for.
Do you expect resistance from the inside? Because there was a lot of resistance in the first term, and how would you deal with that?
The American people delivered quite an incredible mandate for change in this election, with the popular vote and the electoral vote overwhelmingly saying, hey, we want Donald Trump as president, and we've had enough of the Harris-Biden regime. Of course, there's going to be resistance to change from the swamp in Washington. I think that's kind of the point. The American people are saying, hey, stop looking at yourselves, stop focusing on your own power, your own position, your own bank accounts. How about we have leaders in Washington who are actually looking out for the American people? And on every issue across the board, that's really what it comes down to with what President Trump is trying to accomplish is we have to make sure that our government puts the interests of the American people first.
How did you think the Biden meeting went today?
It was interesting to see that Biden didn't seem to be able to stop smiling. For them to have sat there for what she said a couple hours and good. I'm glad that they sat there. They had a seemingly good conversation. President Trump, I'm sure, is eager to get to work and glad to be back there.
What do you think Kamala's thinking right now?
I can't even begin to venture how she's feeling right now. The amazing thing is what I hope the American people are feeling is a sense of hope. And frankly, Jesse, I've been heartened to see how engaged people continue to be, even though the election is over, that they're really looking forward to making sure that their voices are continued to be heard as we go through these next couple of months, as President Trump takes office, as he begins to lead this significant change in our government. To me, this is what an active and thriving democratic republic looks like. It's not just centered around an election every 2 years or every 4 years. It's going to continue to require an active populace in this country in order to bring about this kind of change that makes sure we have truly a government of, by, and for the people.
And you're going to be very active working alongside this team. You got Waltz, you got Radcliffe, you got Pete Hegseth, Marco Rubio. How excited are you, and what are the plans?
I think a lot of us, I think we're all eager to get to work. There is so much to be done. Meetings have already begun. President Trump is leading the charge in making sure that on day zero, once he takes that oath again on January 20th, that we're all chomping at the bit to get after it.
That's great. I mean, that's why people are so excited. You can feel it. You can smell it in the air almost. It's almost distracting because people can't wait to get started and see what you guys are going to be up to. How are your Democrat colleagues taking it, or former Democrat friends? You left the Democratic Party, you became a Republican. Now you are in a Republican administration. What's been the reaction from those people?
Jesse, I'm actually pretty heartened. I've heard from some of my former Democrat colleagues who are still serving in office today, as well as some who've left and are no longer serving in the House or the Senate, reaching out and in what I hope could be and should be an effort for us to work together and put the American people first, to uphold, support, and defend the Constitution, and again, ensure the safety, security, and freedom of the American people. This should be the objective of every single member of the House and the Senate, every single person who works in our government. And so I was glad to hear from some of my former colleagues who I haven't heard from in a little while.
That's really...
Yeah, right. They're all scared. You kidding me? What? That's what that is. Like, they're dialing their phones. Hi, Tulsi. Congratulations. Can you just not tell anybody what I did in Thailand? I have a wife and kids, please. Please, Tulsi. That's all that is. Oh man, because she's gonna find all the things. She's just gonna be able to sit around and be like, "Can I look at this? Oh, I'm gonna look at this. Oh, I want to read everything about Hillary Clinton. Oh my God, this is gross. Oh geez, wow, they own the island. Whoa, it's gonna be wild. It's gonna be wild. Are you kidding me right now? There's one person who's really upset about it. This guy, John Bolton. It seems like every time, first off, let me tell you something. When you're a politician and something happens in the Trump administration, any administration, and the politician who is complaining or trying to sow negativity, if they go to MSNBC, especially Meet the Press, they're an agent. That's all this guy is. 100%. When you see them, they go to MSNBC. Why? Oh, you have something to say about Tulsi Gabbard. Tell us what that is. That's just a setup. That's a setup. When are people going to stop falling for this? But this is what this guy has to say. And he pretty much said the exact same thing about Rubio. Pretty much everybody that Trump... Oh, and Gates. He said the same thing about Gates. Every person that Trump has announced so far, he keeps saying that they're not qualified. Here.
I think that Tulsi Gabbard's nomination to be Director of National Intelligence, when I first heard that today, my immediate reaction was hilarious.
Why?
She's totally not competent for that job. Gates is the worst. She may be tracking in at the second worst. Haven't had a lot of time to do research on the Tulsi Gabbard nomination. But, well, I think that...
This guy's just like, listen, you need somebody who's 70 years old at least. I mean, what happened to the days where we got people who were just senile? Let me tell you something. A person who's senile, they keep the best secrets. You tell them everything they need to know. They forget. Your secrets are safe. That's how we keep America safe. Get out of here with your mustache. Get out of here. Absolutely ridiculous. Now, what does the role entail? Do you guys know what this role entails? Okay. All right. Do you guys understand what this role entails? Let me just listen. There's a whole bunch here. Okay. Let me just go down to the good part. Okay. All right. All of it's good. But Tulsi Gabbard is going to be overseeing CIA operations. What? They do have direct responsibility for overseeing CIA operations and communicating the results of those operations to the president. What? Do you know how crazy this is? Then you go up here to the first one, leadership and intelligence in the intelligence community. Serves as an executive head of the United States intelligence community, IC, overseeing 17 agencies and organizations that make up the IC. First of all, I didn't know about the IC. Did you know about the IC? Never heard that before. Coordination and integration. She also coordinates the performance of intelligence services by the elements of the IC, determining which services can be more efficiently accomplished in a consolidated way. Now, let me just go to the better part. What are these agencies that she actually gets to oversee? Oh, goodness me. CIA, FBI intelligence branch, National Security Agency, Defense Intelligence Agency, National Geospatial Intelligence Agency. Oh my, the NRO, the Counterterrorism, the National Counterterrorism Center, the National Proliferation Center. What is it even? I don't even know. I'm being honest with you guys. I don't sit here and act like I know everything. I haven't heard of half of these. The National Counterintelligence and Security Center, Bureau of Intelligence and Research within the U.S. Department of State, Defense Intelligence Agencies. I'm talking about this lady's overseeing everything and reporting back to Trump. All of the agencies that hate Trump now have to deal with Tulsi Gabbard, who has this great moral compass. And then she goes back to Trump and says, I saw what they're doing. And Trump says, what are they doing? And she goes, shut it down. And then Elon Musk and Vivek run in for some efficiency and just start cutting the fat. Are you kidding me? This is crazy. This is crazy. I've never been so... Listen, this is how I know I'm getting older. I'm hyped about government policies. I'm hyped about government policies. My daughter's been backed up for a couple of days. She just pooped. I was hyped about the poop. I was like, let's go. I gave her a reward. I gave her my watch. I'm usually wearing a watch. I gave it to her. I said, here you go. There's a reward. You know what I mean? I clapped. This is crazy. The things that get you excited as you get older. U.S. Air Force intelligence as well. U.S. Navy intelligence as well. U.S. Marine Corps intelligence as well. The Office of the Naval Intelligence, Coast Guard intelligence. She even gets to be on boats? This is crazy. Are you kidding me? Department of Energy Office of Intelligence and Counterintelligence. Whew. I'm telling you, this might be one of the best appointments so far, because the only people you could put there is either RFK or you're going to put Tulsi there. But if you're putting Tulsi there, Tulsi's telling RFK what's up. And RFK still hasn't been appointed. Let RFK be in the shadows. I don't even know what he's going to get appointed to. Let him be in the shadows. Maybe a friend of mine actually suggested that they might actually have to make a role for him. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen with RFK. But even if he's in the I'm telling you, J.D. Vance is the Republican VP. RFK is the Democrat VP. That's what I'm seeing right now. I don't know. But I'm sure it'll be announced either tomorrow or the next day. We'll see. But I'll update you guys on that for sure. But again, it's a time to be proud. I mean, Tulsi Gabbard is a great pick for this position. Trump is making some fire picks right now. You know, I'm not into Rubio, but a friend of mine, he's telling me that it's a good pick. I wasn't in the JD when Trump first picked JD. I made a video about it and everything. Now I really like JD, you know, so you got to trust it. You got to trust it. You got to give it a chance. You know, we gave Biden a chance and, you know, everything's on fire, but it's fine. It's fine. There's lots of water. We'll put out the fires. It's okay. You know, your bank account's drained. It's okay. Fine. That's fine. Milk the country for all the money. Put it all into Ukraine. BlackRock takes the money. Probably got kickbacks. I don't know, but it's okay. It's okay. Whatever. We'll be all right. Oh, man. Anyways, guys, like, subscribe, turn on the notifications. Helps us tremendously. And other than that, I'm out.